Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Emily Cochran, the sports director here at Fox 10. Now, the Reese Senior Bowl kicks off right here in Mobile in just a few weeks. I got to catch up with Senior Bowl Executive Director Jim Nagy to break down this year's quarterback room. It's the most stacked, the most loaded, the most talented, any way you want to put it. It's the best that this NFL showcase has ever seen. Nagy and I got to break down each and every player and what they need to do in front of these NFL coaches and scouts to make a name for themselves ahead of the draft. Take a look.
Super Bowl could be really big for him based on, his last performance against Michigan.
Yeah, it's going to be big for Jalen for sure. The one thing he does, he brings rare athleticism to the position. He's going to be probably the fastest quarterback that's come out, maybe since Lamar Jackson. And he's had great moments as a thrower this year. It's just been a little uneven. So this will be a big week. Like in relation to where Jalen Hurts was 4 or 5 years ago, Jalen came down here as like a 4th or 5th round draft pick, and everyone, at the press conference, someone asked me if we're going to play him at running back that year. I think Milroe's a little higher than that right now. I think, a lot of 3rd round grades in the league right now. So yeah, he's got a chance to really help himself.
Jackson Dart, Ole Miss, I'm an Ole Miss grad, so I'm pulling for him. What do you think that scouts and coaches need to see out of him in this Senior Bowl? Yeah,
of all the quarterbacks who've added, I think that's the one that's gotten the most excitement from the NFL guys, because he's a hard guy to evaluate in that offense at Ole Miss. It's so wide open, and Lane Kiffin does such a good job of designing their scheme that, Emily, you went to school there. You watch them, their guys are running wide open all the time. So they're really excited to see this guy in more of a pro-style system with smaller windows to throw into. But, man, he finished his career out, with maybe his best game of the season against Duke. So we're really excited for Jackson. He can really throw it. So I'd say he and Milroe both those guys have a chance to really help themselves.
Love to hear that. Will Howard, Ohio State. Let's talk about him.
Yeah, we almost invited Will last year. I actually called Will. We were hanging on Jaden Daniels forever, and then when it realized we weren't going to get Jaden Daniels, the next guy up was Will Howard. And when I called him, he was like, "Jim, I'm hopping on a plane to Columbus, Ohio right now." So we missed out. We missed our timing there, but we're going to get him now. It's been really cool. Will's probably played his 2 or 3 best games of the season these last 3 weeks. Into the playoff, and and I've gotten close to Will just because I got him into the Manning camp a couple years ago. So it's cool to see him on a big stage. We thought Ohio State would be the best team when the season started. Here in the office, they've got the most NFL talent of anybody, and so in the playoff now we're seeing that. So yeah, I'm a big Will Howard guy. He's very like Riley Leonard, really mature guy, a guy you really pull for.
All right, Dillon Gabriel, Oregon. They were the #1 team pretty much all season, got knocked out of the playoffs by Ohio State. What do scouts and coaches need to see out of him for Senior Bowl?
Yeah, for people that aren't familiar with him down here, he's very Tua-like. For Alabama fans that watch a lot of Tua, he's played a lot of college football. We know that. A lot of people talked about Bo Nix and how many games he played last year. Well, Dillon broke his record. He's played more college football games than any quarterback, and that's a great thing. We're seeing what's happening for Bo right now. He transitioned really quickly to the NFL. So this guy's got a really quick release. He's a good athlete. He's really instinctive. It's great having a Heisman finalist down here, which is really cool. All these other guys might be, bigger NFL names, but man, Dillon Gabriel's probably had a better college career than any of them.
Tyler Shuck.
Yeah.
Louisville. Talk to me about this guy. A lot of people aren't really talking about him. Tell me why we should.
Yeah, so is this class, there's all these big name guys, and Tyler Shuck from Louisville is kind of the other guy. And he's played a lot of college football. He started at Oregon when Justin Herbert was there. So he's an older guy. He stayed healthy this year. That's been the key. And again, all these guys are great quarterbacks, but if you just watch them throw at practice down here, he's probably got the strongest arm. He throws it as good as any of these guys. So he's a guy that if he can stay healthy, and he finally has this year, he could play in the NFL for 10 years. But we've finally seen it this year. So excited to get him down because a lot of people don't know about this guy, but he can throw the heck out of the football.
Let's talk a little bit about transfer portal. A lot of these guys have kind of moved around. They haven't always, spent the majority of their career at the schools that they're finishing at. Obviously, college football has changed with transfer portal, NIL, all those things. You've been doing this a long time. You've been a scout. Does that change how you evaluate players when they're moving and things like this, when they're not staying at one school for 3 to 4 years? Does it change how you evaluate players?
Yeah, well, Emily, it can help the evaluation because you're seeing them in different offenses sometimes. You're seeing them in different locker rooms. Like, think about Dillon Gabriel, for example. He starts his career at UCF. Right, he's kind of in the southeast part of the country. There's certain players down here. Then he goes to the middle of the country at Oklahoma. That's a whole different part of the country. Then he goes out to Eugene, Oregon. So he's been in like 3 different locker rooms. So now when the NFL guys go to these different programs, and how did he blend with his teammates? which is a big deal for these quarterbacks, like that helps. You've seen this guy run a lot of different types of people. Because the NFL, that's what it is. Like in college, it's more regional. Like if you're in an SEC program, most of the kids are from the southeast part of the country. In the NFL, they're coming from everywhere. So it's really helped the evaluation, both from like figuring out who these guys are, but also on the field because they're playing in different systems.
So it's definitely a positive because it does look more and more like the NFL.
Yeah, I understand fans don't love it because players are jumping around. It certainly makes it harder for us to like keep track of where these guys are to evaluate them. But from the NFL's perspective, there's a lot of positive that can come out of it.
So, I mean, we're getting into the final stretch, the big game, the big week kicking off. It's almost here. Just talk about the things that we can look forward to as, people of Mobile coming out, watching practices and all the events y'all have planned.
Yeah, I don't expect the average fan to know this. These are going to be our best rosters. We were allowed to bring the juniors last year for the first time. Didn't get a ton of buy-in from the junior class last year. Like all 10 first-rounders we had last year were seniors. This year we've got 15, 20 guys from the junior class that could be first-round picks. So they will be our best rosters. We've got the quarterbacks. We've got Riley Leonard coming back. We've got Shamar James from Faith Academy coming back. So a couple really big local names, which is cool. In terms of ticket sales, we sold out last year. That was our first sellout at Hancock Whitney. So we hope everyone jumps on it this year. Something I haven't talked a lot about, we're bringing bobbleheads back. We gave away 5,000 bobbleheads last year at the game for the 75th anniversary, and we're doing that again this year with a guy like Jalen Hurts and Najee Harris and Cooper Kupp and Josh Allen and all these guys. So that's another really fun thing.
Enjoyed that full interview with Senior Bowl Executive Director Jim Nagy. He's an encyclopedia of knowledge when it comes to the NFL, when it comes to scouting, when it comes to the Senior Bowl, when it comes to the game of football. He's your guy. So I appreciate him so much for sitting down with me to talk all things quarterback room. It's a stacked roster. Going to be a ton of fun to watch here in just a few weeks. Now, that game does kick off on Saturday, February 1st from Hancock Whitney Stadium at 1:30 p.m. We'll have all the highlights of all the events leading up to that big game. And, of course, we'll have all the highlights of the game right here on Fox 10. Thanks so much for watching us right here on the Fox 10 Gulf Stream. I'll see you next time. I'm Emily Cochran, Fox 10 Sports.